It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. Before we get started, we want to help you save some money.
That's right, folks. Don't forget to use our promo codes to save that money. And let's start off with buckbaits.com. That's right, the brick and mortar store of Buck Baits down at Sterling Heights, Michigan at 15 and Dodge Park. Go over there. If you're on the website, buckbaits.com, use the promo code UNJ20. That will get you 20% off your order.
For those of you who are looking for Easy Cut products, make sure you go to easycutproducts.com. And when you're there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ15 off to save 15% off your order.
And let's not forget Lincoln Roan over at packermax.com. It's never too early, never too late to think about the Packer Max. Go on over to packermax.com, use the promo code UNJ25. That'll get you $25 off your order over at Packer Max Outdoors.
For those of you looking for some new firearms and firearm products, make sure you go over to the islandarmory.com. While you're there shopping, use the promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order there.
If you shot that bird of a lifetime and you want it mounted, don't forget Troublesome Creek Taxidermy. We've had them live on the show. We've talked to them. You want to get 10% off your order, go to Facebook, go to troublesome.creek.7, find their website. If you go to our website, UNJ, make sure to click on the button to download the form. You get 10% off over there using the code UNJ10.
Looking for that game call, whether it be a squirrel, whether it be goose, duck, deer, make sure you go to JPO Game Calls. Look for them at jpogamecalls.com, and while you're there shopping, use the UNJ10 promo code to save 10% off your order.
And Miller Deer Tracking, the man that seems to never sleep during deer season. Get 20% off your next deer tracking using the promo code UNJ20. Look for Miller Deer Tracking on Facebook or give him a call over at 810-240-4891.
Looking for the hottest new plastics to take on the water, whether it be hard water or soft water? Make sure you go over to southernindianabaitco.com. While there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order.
Deer Camp Coffee, folks. We drink it every night on the show. You want to try it? You can go to the brick and mortar store at 15 and Dodge Park at Deer Camp itself, or go to deercampcoffee.com. Also use our promo code UNJ10. You get 10% off your order. And don't forget, get a bag of the UNJ medium roast blend there as well.
All right, Danny, where's our live view camera look from tonight?
Welcome back. Another Wednesday live episode. Tonight's live look, looking over Lake Michigan, up in Empire, Michigan, where it is 68 degrees, a bit cloudy, and Mike actually kayaks through this area.
Yes, I have. Man, the waters are looking mighty smooth right there. They were not as smooth as it was the day that Nancy and I were on the water up there. Actually, 2 days. We did Empire Bluffs one day. We did Sleeping Bear Dunes from the water another day.
Right?
Beautiful.
And of course, this is a live look, but the picture's frozen, of course. So it must be getting cold up there, right? So
it's already freezing up there.
Right? For sure.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. Not as hot in here as it was last week.
You know, the last couple days, I think, is the last sputters of the heat.
Yeah, I mean, we actually got the air rolling tonight.
Yep, but after tonight, it's supposed to drop back into the 70s, the heat,
60s.
Yep, humidity's supposed to go away, and yeah.
So it looks like we got a couple new people in here watching tonight. So if you see the chat there, you join right in if you'd like. Post some questions, comments, whatever.
Did you have a good Labor Day?
I worked.
Okay, that people got to do that. So
well, I took the gravy.
Well, exactly. You know, got to do what you got to do, right?
When the gravy bowl is put in front of you, you take a big heaping spoonful of it. You know what I'm saying? And I took a big heaping spoonful.
Right. Exactly. So it was a special day on Monday for me.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it another trip around the sun for you?
It was another trip around the sun. The double nickels have hit me.
Oh.
But it's all good.
Little Sammy Hagar, you can't drive 55, huh?
I can't drive 55, that's for sure.
And we want to extend well wishes as well and happy birthday to the lovely Miss Tammy Dell.
Absolutely. We share the same birthday and all.
Are we still doing the month of Danny?
Oh yeah, it's just starting, my friend.
All right.
It is just starting, my friend. So be prepared. Whatever I might be doing this month, I can attribute it to my birthday and Denise's birthday or Tammy's birthday.
Whatever.
So there's three of us all on the hook. Actually, there's a fourth one we went to school with as well. So, but tonight's show is going to be action-packed. I got that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got some good stuff to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. This is what happens when you have friends, that reach out and say, hey, I think I got a good subject for you. And I've actually been friends with Mr. Kevin Craven for a very long time. So it goes back to when 1982 this picture is from.
Is that what that's? Oh, okay.
That's from 1982. This is him up here in the right above my shoulder. I was his bat boy on his softball team that my dad sponsored. So
okay. Where are you at?
I'm right here, kneeled. Guy with the red hair, glasses. I look like I don't know what the heck I look like. Buster Brown at times, I guess.
Danny Bonaducci.
Right? So, but yeah, we've been friends for a long time. So he reached out to me and said, hey, he's now happily retired, and he let us on to our guest tonight.
Which is Mr. Tim Hossack, who is part of the Northwest Michigan Fishing Club. Did I say that right?
You said it right. You got it right.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, welcome to the show tonight, man. That's a long title.
It is. I don't know where we came up with that, but it suited the area, so what the heck.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of fish in that area. There's a lot of water in that area. There's in the whole state of Michigan, so.
Yeah, we've had a good year, too. Wow. It's kind of winding down now, but wow, what a season.
Yeah, fall is upon us. I mean, it is knocking on the door as we speak. Like I said, we were looking at that live picture coming out of Empire. The storms are coming across Lake Michigan today. Y'all got 4 inches of rain up there, I hear.
Yeah, we did. It was terrible. It all came in about an hour and a half, too.
That's not good.
I'm looking at my pond out back, and it's full. Very full.
Okay.
Excellent. Big shout out to Mike Radcliffe, first-time listener.
Thanks for joining the show.
Absolutely. And Lauren Arthur Tiffany is
I know both of them. Now, Mike is the president of the Northwest Michigan Fishing Club, so I got to be on my P's and Q's tonight.
You better be.
And Lauren is like one of our regular Wednesday night competitors.
Okay.
She's all over. Good fisherman.
All right. So she's competitive type. So you better do good, or else you might get replaced in the next interview.
Well, I definitely will.
So where are we going to start tonight?
So let's find out a little bit of background about the Northwest Michigan Fishing Club in general. We have your Facebook page up as you're talking about the club itself. How did it start? When did it form? Kind of give us the lowdown on where this all came about.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it started in really in 2019. We started taking official memberships. A yearly $20 for somebody to be part of the club. But it really started with a bunch of guys that routinely would be fishing together. And they wanted to have more input into the area, more entertainment opportunities, do more for the community. Everybody was kind of like, yeah, why don't we have a club? So we set it up. And, that's a lot of paperwork with the government, 501c3. And, we didn't get it the first time.
So y'all are an official nonprofit club.
Yes. We have the stamp of approval.
Okay, right on.
So we have, we've gathered donations and done a ton of community events and involving kids and veterans and really everyday fishermen. We kind of set it up to where it's like, this is not a sport fishing association.
Gotcha.
Let's call it that. This is a everyday man's club.
Okay.
And even our tournaments, I call them tournaments, but they're really just fun events on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
They're set up for the guy that gets out of work at 5, and he can be there at 6 with a $10 bill in his pocket, and he can have a lot of fun and bring a lot of people with him and his family. And, that gives kind of a break in the week for the working man. And that's what we wanted to do. So, we do a lot of, 17 Wednesday night events, and we do three 3 Saturday events, I think. But of those, we split them right down the middle. So about 8 of them are inland lakes.
Okay.
And I'm talking tiny inland lakes. And we rotate every week. We go somewhere else. We never hit the same spot twice consecutively. Where we could, because that's where the hot bite is, but we don't do that. And then the other half is big water events. So East Bay, West Bay, Leland, Frankfurt, all those areas, those are our big water events.
So
we have multiple locations on each of those locations, but so we kind of break it out to where it's every man, everywhere, and you're kind of encouraged to, go do that little panfish lake in the middle of the woods, or go do that harbor fishing for salmon or for lake trout.
So it's giving you an opportunity to hit waters you might not normally hit.
Right, it pushes the envelope of what your comfort zone is.
Gotcha.
So, if you're, really curious about fishing and you just love fish, if you're like me, just love to fish. I don't care if it's bluegill or ice fishing or salmon 6 miles offshore. I don't care what it is. I love to fish. And if that's how you're infected, because I'm infected, then this club is for you, because we go all over and we do everything. We even do trips down south. We'll do convoys down to Saginaw, where we can all, kind of watch each other and make sure the convoy is, you don't want to have a breakdown and not have help.
Oh, no kidding, especially if you're away from home,
Yeah, so we went to Mullet Lake and Saginaw. Been to a few places, and it really it's just kind of a family thing where the whole community, if you want to take advantage of it, it's here for you. That's kind of the way we couch it as well.
And last Thursday was your last Wednesday night tournament, correct?
Yes, and what a dud.
Really? Because we're going. Well, it doesn't look like a dud on this picture, because this person is enjoying. It looks like a fresh basket of peaches.
But so one of our members shows up. He's a big orchard farmer up here in Leelanau County, Greg Fredrickson and Carla, and they show up to a lot of our events and sometimes don't even fish. They just come to see the weigh-ins, and it's a big social event and it gets them out of the house. But he shows up with these nice baskets full of peaches, and so we used them as raffle prizes. And then he actually sold a couple bushels. So there was what a better way to go out with a fresh basket of peaches. And I didn't win one, but I did win another raffle prize, and I traded it off for the basket of peaches because I didn't need the lures that I won.
Hey man, you gotta go home with snacks.
That last tournament, that was on the 30th of August, and that was West Bay, right downtown Traverse City. You're looking at all the buildings right out. You're what, quarter mile, 200 meters maybe from all the shoreline of West Bay, Traverse City, and I think we had 18 boats, and I don't think three fish were caught. That's it.
Wow.
Which is unheard of. Now this is following 3 days of cold north wind, and the conditions just were terrible. I mean, it did calm down, but I think 3 salmon were caught. That was it. And you could catch lake trout too. That was in the in the winning bucket, but no one did. It was terrible. And they were small fish. It wasn't like you're catching 20-pound salmon. These were like little jack salmon that were dumb enough to bite.
We're showing the table of prizes that you had for that night, and there's 4 bushels of peaches and beaver lures and some other things there. But what time did it start, the tournament?
Well, the tournament always started at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so it always started at 6 o'clock. And
every Wednesday night is 6 to 9:30. If we're doing a walleye event or a salmon event where the fish are known to bite after dark or close to dark, then we'll go till 10. So it's adjustable, but we try to we make a schedule coming up. We'll start doing our schedule for 2024 in November, and we try to hit that glide path of when does dark hit, when does dark when is it beneficial to still be out there fishing. And all our tournaments are like a lucky man tournament. You don't have to put 5 walleye in a box and bring them into the weigh-in. All it takes is one big fish, and you could win big money. And I'm talking a couple $100. It's a fun Wednesday night competition. So yeah, we kind of move that end time around from 9:30, 10 o'clock. Usually give 3.5 to 4 hours of fishing on a Wednesday night.
Okay, and we're taking a look at the board, matter of fact, and yes, there's 3 fish listed on the board. So I guess it was a very slow night.
Terrible. Right. Kevin was right. We were trolling side by side the whole night, and he knew, and I knew it was bad.
Right? But, having these tournaments on Wednesday night, getting everybody involved, and having them at a great time after work when, if you're not retired, you can get out of work and head right down to the water up there, buy you up there. But you do other things as well. And, one of the things you guys do there is you've installed lights at boat launches?
Yes. Yeah. So, this was an idea, I don't know, a couple years ago that, we're just like we're running up on 10 o'clock at night and we're at a boat launch and it's pitch black in the parking lot and at the boat ramp. We're going, man, something has to happen here. So we got it, the DNR owns most of the boat launches up here. The townships own a few of them, but DNR owns the predominance of them. And there's a whole application process you got to go through, a business plan, had to write that. How are we going to do it? Where are we going to do it? Approval processes and all this stuff. But it finally came to fruition last year. And we put in, we generally do 2 lights per location. So one at a boat launch and one at a parking lot. So yeah, we've hit Silver Lake, Lake Leelanau, Hilltop Launch in West Bay, and Crystal Lake. Those are the 4 lakes that we've done over 2 years. And it takes about, 4 hours to, physically sync the post and get the lights on the post and our sign. We put a sign on provided by the Northwest Michigan Fishing Club, so we have a little presence there. People go, oh, nice. Great.
Absolutely.
These are solar lights, and I'll tell you, they were tested because Mike, our president, has had one in his yard for years, and he loves it. And it's maintenance free. We get the poles donated. They're old oil field drilling poles. And Superior Inspection Service gives us those poles. They donate them. They're expensive if you have to buy them.
Oh, nice.
And then Rev Auto applies this, it's kind of like rhino liner. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's a very hard coating to eliminate any rust. They're not going to rust. And then we put the light on it and sink it in the ground. But all of that, Mike really rounds up all the supplies, and he gets the donations because he knows a lot of people out there. And, Consumers Energy gave us a $1,000 donation, and so did the previous year, Terryland Electric, because they like to dabble in this solar stuff. And they like the community outreach, too. And, so we sink those poles in the ground, and we get great feedback on them. Thank God those lights were there. I almost ran over my fishing rod, that kind of thing. So, and it's a fun event. We had, I don't know, probably a dozen volunteers. This year, Greg Fredrickson, again, the guy that donated the peaches, he came out with his little digger. I can't remember what the name of this thing is, but it's a, it's just kind of a multi-service machine, dug the holes. It takes quite an event to get the pole up because they're heavy and get it level and plumb, and we did all that. And just had it, it's a great time. And Ron Rice, one of our members, he bought us all lunch afterwards, 2nd year in a row. So, I mean, it's pretty fun. It's a good event, and you really feel good about doing it because you're going to use it, and it's going to be there for years and years and years. And it's a benefit to the community. Even, jet skiers come in after dark, other fishermen that aren't club members, all the pleasure boaters that come in late. On the 4th of July, you come into a boat launch and it doesn't have any lights and there's 20 boats in front of you. be nice to have a light down there.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly. And as you're talking about, we're running through the pictures that you had on August 18th. So
Yes.
wherever that one light was, 2 lights were put up, we're rolling through those pictures as you talk about it. And you're right, that little machine that they're using kind of got around by carrying the pole, helping stand up the pole. That little guy helped out.
Now, the year prior, we used a pretty good-sized tractor with a front end loader on it to do it. That worked too, and we had a post hole digger on the back of that tractor. That worked great too. So yeah, it's been next year we're going to do Braxton Bridge. We voted on this as a club, and I think the location is on the Betsy River, somewhere down around Thompsonville, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And then the other location is Green Lake off of Betsy River Road.
So you do 2 a year?
2 a year. Two locations a year.
I can tell you, from a kayaker's point of view, I've come off of rivers later in the evening, and by the time we get loaded up and ready to try to get everything back to the vehicle or on the trailer, it's dark. A light at every boat launch would be invaluable. It's
huge.
It's huge.
Yes, we need to have
Absolutely.
them. I mean, and they're solar.
That's awesome.
Once you get them up, there's no maintaining them. They're good to go.
They're solar powered, and Mike Radcliffe says it's Patriot lining, and it's from Rev Auto that they put on there, and that's one of the 2 lights, solar powered, maintenance free basically, and away you go. Can't beat that when we're getting, like you said, you have 20 boats out and it's all dark. It kind of gets into a fun time out there. Baxter Bridge south of Kingsley.
That's it. That's the one.
Okay.
Baxter Bridge.
Now,
yes.
You talked about the club, some of the things you do, the tournaments that you run, projects that you're involved with. So, said person out there that's watching tonight, they're like, this is a good idea. I'd like to get involved in this. What's a membership cost? How do I get involved? Who do I get in touch with?
Well, it's very expensive. Okay, it's $1.67 a month, or $20 a year.
There you go.
And you can do it on our website, northwestmichiganfishingclub.com. There's a little membership tab. You click on that, fill out the form, hit the PayPal, and you'll be hearing from me. Because I'm the guy that sends the welcome emails, welcome packets. See, one of our board of directors will probably deliver a welcome packet to you. And you'll get the full schedule of everything we do, and then you'll get email updates. Probably once a week, once every other week, I'll send out a little, here's what's going on for the week type of email.
Okay.
And we'll get you involved.
Okay.
Love involvement. You don't even have to work. You don't have to be a volunteer. You can just come and watch, which a lot of people do. It's fun. And it's a great social event, and it's a great community get-together, if you will.
And we're looking at the website right now that you can go right there. There's the home button, the membership form. You click on that, go right to it, and you can fill out and join you guys for a mere $1.66 a month.
67.
Oh, sorry,
You
67.
got the extra penny in there. Come
Right.
on.
But as we're looking at the website, you got to talk about the Veterans Cisco in the Crisco.
Yes, Cisco and the Crisco. Now, if you say it like the, remember the Flintstones cartoon on Saturday morning?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Cisco in the Crisco. That's kind of the cadence I like right there.
There you go.
Anyway, this is a big deal. It caps off the season. It's the 23rd of September, which is a Saturday. It's the last weekend before lake trout, and lake trout season closes on the 30th of September. So it's the last really hoorah before, lake trout are off limits until January. And the reason we do that is because we want to have kind of an end capstone event for the season and get veterans who have been following us or who just heard about us or who were told about us, get them out fishing. We don't like to just donate money and, here's to a veterans organ. We like to provide an opportunity for entertainment. And that's what this Cisco and the Crisco is. Not only entertainment, but a fresh fish lunch. Right when we come into the launch, we do the weigh-in. we're cleaning up fish and we're frying them right there. It's fantastic. And all these boats, these boat captains, some of them are professionals, some of them are, slugs like me. But we fit, according to a veteran's disability or not, his placement into boats. So he can get out there and we'll get him on the fish. Cisco are just coming into the bay and they're hungry this time of year. They move up shallow. There'll be a lot of them, and lake trout. So, and you never know about salmon. They could still be out there on the 23rd. Been a weird year. So I think we got 19 vets signed up right now. I think we may have room for a couple more. Mike will probably chime in on the chat and see where we're at on boats versus veterans. We do the pairing and kind of keep that updated as much as we can. We do like to have a few extra vets called on a B list in case one of the other vets says, hey, I can't make it, fill my seat. And then we'll have a reserve list we can go to and fill his seat.
Nice.
But there's a lot of captains coming out of East Bay that will keep their boats in the water just for this event. And,
That's cool.
It'll allow us to really, give back to the community. And I got to tell you this story because we're always hunting around for a great location, and something that's going to be able to accommodate, 20 boats, relatively. That's our goal. So I call Elk Rapids, and then I talk to the township manager, and then she puts me into the Elk Rapids Marina Harbor Master. And I tell her what we want to do, the whole plan, and how we want to cook out afterwards, and can we use their pavilion? And she's like, yep, it sounds great. The 23rd is open. Let's reserve it. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk money, because, it's like a $250 deposit and $100 an hour to use the pavilion. Great facility. I mean, it's got to be the best harbor on the lake. Anyway, she goes, oh, no, we're going to waive all that. This is a veterans event. I mean,
you can't do that.
About $500 right there.
Exactly. Mike says that you're shooting for 20 to 25 vets in total.
There we go. Yep. And we're almost there. Surprisingly, you would be surprised how tough it is to get veterans out. Some of them just don't want to go. Some of them just don't have the trust that they're going to, have the accommodations, that they're going to be comfortable.
Right.
Safe.
Right.
Sure, a lot of that. And man, I'll tell you, we've done quite a few of these events. Never had an issue. It's always been a great event. And the raffle prizes that come with it will make it worth their while to come out and, play.
Do you have
come out and play? It's about it.
Do you have boats that would accommodate somebody that needs to be barrier-free for a vet?
Well, within reason. We have, the big charter boats that have bathrooms on board.
Gotcha.
They have a big dance floor in the back. So I will say yes. Yeah. Now, if we have to launch or load somebody into a boat and out of a boat, it may, that's a disability that we're wrestling with.
Gotcha.
We've had club briefings from companies to come in and show us how to do hoists off a dock with a wheelchair and hoist a guy in a wheelchair onto a boat.
Gotcha.
So we've gone to that length. We haven't done that yet.
But you're prepared for it.
We have heard of the plans to do it, yes.
Okay.
And there's many ways to do it, but there's a couple companies that really specialize in, getting disabled people in and off boats safely.
Question coming in over the chat is, we talked about your Wednesday night fishing tournaments with the kids, with everybody, this tournament coming up. Do you have a safety meeting prior to every tournament that you have?
No safety meeting. This is all, personal responsibility. We do make a weather call by noon on Wednesday if it's going to get blown out or light, either one. And we really only had 3 weather calls this year out of 17, so not bad. But the registration is really where you'd want to ask any safety type questions, and we open up registration an hour to an hour and a half before 6 o'clock lines in. So you have plenty of time to decide, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? And I think there's been a couple where we could have called and said, no, let's not do it. I mean, we kind of pushed the envelope on a couple of them, knowing that the wind would calm down. Mm-hmm. West Bay on the 30th of August was one of those. Just, we got 2-foot rollers, some white caps, but the weather forecast was winds are going to decline to calm by 10 o'clock. Well, that's a steep drop-off from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., so we went ahead with it. And it did calm down. But I can remember a Frankfurt event last year where I'm busting waves going out of the harbor, and there's a 16-footer behind me that's really splashing a lot of water back there. So I didn't run away. I just stayed right in front of him, see if he was going to follow me out. But that one was a rough one, and it calmed down, but not where you'd want it. You know what I mean? You're still probably got 1-footers, no white caps, but those big water events we watch pretty careful. Now Lake Leelanau, which is technically a small lake, that got blown out this year. Just too rough. It's not going to be fun. So yeah, we cancel them, but no safety meeting.
So, speaking of the events that you have on for the Wednesday tournaments, do you have a lot of kids that come out for those events as well, or do you have specific events for the kids?
Well, both. Yes, a lot of kids come with their parents or with their neighbor, uncle, whatever, on Wednesday nights, and we keep track of them. We usually get about anywhere from 2 to 6, depending on the size of the event and what's going on. So kids under 16 are free. But the kids events, I mean, we do 5 kids events a year. Let me get my glasses on for this one. 6 kids events a year. And a couple, let's see, 3 of those are the kids' mobile fishing pond. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this. It was new to me years ago. Now it's old hat, but we take it all starts out in April when the Kalkaska has their Trout Fest. And we set up our mobile kids fishing pond in the fire station in Kalkaska. Mm-hmm. And all of the prizes, we try to do a prize per kid. So a fishing pole combo, a tackle box, something, T-shirt, something for the kid. But we had 340 some odd kids come through there this year on a 2-day event with 260 trout. And, just a huge introduction, because these kids are just enamored with rainbow trout. And, it's like a 10 by 12, 2.5-foot pond, but it's got a black liner in it, so you can't really see the trout in there. We keep the oxygenators going on the top, squirting the top surface of the water, so you can't really see the fish. So, you got to be on your game or have a helper with you, and mom and dad usually help, or a relative, whatever, neighbor.
They're just
we
not
have
going
a
to
lot of kids
one.
through there, and I'm telling you, we see them every year. They come back. It's fun, and it's for anybody from 4 or 5 years old all the way up to say 10, 11, and it's really because there was a niche there, because they do have a trout pond during the trout festival that kids go to fish, but that's for kind of the older kids that can cast, and can bait their own hook. This is not that. We use ice fishing poles, we bait their hook, we net the fish for them, we bag the fish up on ice and send them with a nice prize out the door, free of charge.
There you go.
And we do that that starts in Kalkaska in April. Our next one's coming up in October. We go to Fox Ford, set it right up in their showroom in Cadillac. And that's a hoot because it's the kids we never see. We haven't seen them in Kalkaska. We've been doing it for a couple years there. We see the kids. The one in Cadillac, these are all fresh faces, and they're squealing, and they're having a ball. And their moms and dads are having a ball. And it's a lot of fun. And then we actually got invited to go down to the Sierra Club International outdoor show in Flint, and we set it up down there. And we had one night in Flint and it's a big show. I mean, there's, multi-million-dollar hunting organizations. All the fishing guides are down there. It's a big deal.
You were there this last
we
year?
were the star of the show. I think that trout pond just attracted everybody over there. You
were there
fun.
this past year?
Yep.
Okay. Are you coming back this year?
If they invite us, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
keep us posted on that. 'Cause that's in our back door.
Good. Yes, that's right. It's funny. We had, another good story. We filled that pond up. The fire department comes and, they help us out. They get the fresh water out of the creek or a lake because you can't put chlorinated water in a trout pond.
Right.
So they fill it up, and I'm like, hey, Mike, we got a leak. Our liner was leaking. And we had the next morning we had to go live. And Mike came up with this brainstorm idea to take a tarp and run it under the water, under the fish, all up the other side of that trout pond, and then wrap it tight with bungee cords so that we kind of formed our own little pond liner on top of the liner.
Okay.
It saved the day. I mean, we what's that stuff, the black stuff that you use to patch a leak? It's always on the info commercial. I can't remember the name of it.
Like Flex Seal?
Flex Seal, yeah. We were going to Flex Seal it. That would have never worked.
Was that Mike Dickerson by chance?
Yes, it is.
I know Mike. I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. We enjoyed that show.
That sounds like something he would come up with.
So by the numbers, there was 326 kids last year in 2022, 367 kids in 2023 in 2 days under the age of 10.
There you go.
October 7th we'll be at Foxford, like you said. SCI in March. Yes, at SCI in Flint. Okay,
so we're gonna have to make sure we get to that event.
Yeah, I'll let you know. It's a great event. But, kids events. If you can hook a kid fishing, just in something as simple as that, you're going to get them for life.
Absolutely.
So that's our 3, mobile fishing pond events, and there'll probably be more. We're looking for one in Traverse City to keep it local, so we don't have to go to Flint.
That's a haul.
Yeah, it was quite a circus to get it all down there.
Yeah.
But we do, an actual kids fishing day on Lake Dubonnet.
Yes, I love that lake.
Yeah, and Dubonnet used to be called Mud Lake. Now it's Dubonnet. I mean, it's just full of panfish, pike, and bass.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to keep a kid busy, and he doesn't have to be in a boat. Now, we took out 40 some odd kids, some in boats, some on the shoreline. Had a big weighing in all their bluegill and perch and bass. Well, we didn't keep bass, we kept pike. Had the DNR officer out there, and it was funny because, Dubonnait's a 5 pike limit, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, take them all. There's plenty. It was great. We had a nice cookout and gave away a bunch of raffle prizes and really hooked the kids because that's actual fishing. That's worm and bobber and go after it. Some guys troll pike. And I think we had 40 kids on that one, and it was a great day. At the same time, the same day, Mike had a crew of volunteers at the Discovery Pier. I don't know if you guys are aware of this big organization, but Discovery Pier is kind of a township / community facility, if you will. It's a big pier in West Bay in Traverse City, and it has the big schooner, big old schooner there for sightseeing. But Discovery Pier wanted us to come in there and do a bunch of classes for the kids, and then the kids would actually take what they learned in our classes, knot tying and casting, and then go out to the end of the pier and catch fish. So that was the same day as Dubonnet. So while we're doing 40 kids up there at Dubonnet and getting them on fish, another glut of our volunteers were down on Discovery Pier getting those kids spun up on knot tying and casting, and then getting them out on the piers as well. So we're trying to get that next generation of fishermen excited. And it's a good time, it's a good time to do it because there's a lot of fish to be had.
Absolutely. And speaking of the next generation, there's a switching gears, we'll say, going from what all good you've done with the tournaments on Wednesdays, the items with the kids, the upcoming with the veterans. Something happened in Michigan last week that's kind of not making the headlines like we think it should, or it's not getting enough attention. It's just kind of happening, and if you're not in the circle, which not a lot of people are.
Well, he just talked about we've got a lot of fish now.
Well, for our kids,
getting our kids involved and bringing up the next generation.
But something happened last week in Michigan where the decree was. Explain what happened.
Well, for the last 2 years, 2 years, the Coalition to Protect Michigan Resources, which is nothing but a grouping of all the clubs in the state, fishing clubs, from Michigan Charter Boat Association all the way down to the Northwest Michigan Fishing Club. I mean, there's a bunch of clubs from around the state that we're really just a coalition to represent recreational fishing and sport fishing as well. The charter boat industry has a big say in this, big stake in it, I should say, not a say. But yeah, so this federal treaty from the year 1836 has been, hanging around for 200 years now. And it's gone through several iterations of this thing called a consent decree. And a consent decree is where all the parties consent to play by a certain set of rules. And it started in 1980. And 1980 was kind of the pivotal year because the lakes were broke up into zones. And in those zones, the tribes were designated what areas the Sioux tribe fishes up north, Little Traverse Band gets Petoskey, Charlevoix, Grand Traverse Band gets the Bays, Little River Band gets Manistee, etc. There's 5 tribes. So that happened, and it didn't work in 1980. And it's a 20-year agreement, by the way. So from 1980 to 2000, the fishery, the Great Lakes, were basically gutted of lake trout and whitefish. And overfishing, quagga mussels, call it what you want, no more lake trout, no more whitefish. So in 2000, the coalition, who represents fishermen, really was successful and teamed up with the DNR, Michigan DNR, to negotiate between the feds and the tribes, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So in 2000, it was a good year for the fishery because the judge, a federal judge at the time, said, we're going to buy you out of gill nets because there's very few countries left in the world that still allow gill net fishing. We're going to buy you out of gill nets, but we're going to maintain your right to fish with trap nets. And here's $14 million to do it. So the tribes converted from gill net fishing to trap net fishing, and that worked. The fishery came back. The lake trout restoration program was, seeing results on all the reefs that they're planting offshore and inshore lake trout. The salmon fishery came back. The bait came back. Whitefish are still down, not seeing a whole lot of numbers on those, but there's no restoration program on it. Salmon were good. So from 2000 until 2020, that decree worked pretty well. Now, negotiations restarted in 2018, 2019 for the 2020 decree. Now we're right up to where we're at right now. And the DNR did a complete flip-flop. They, instead of representing the fishermen of the state, they sided with the tribes and with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So I call them Team Gill Nets against the little coalition, us guys. So it's us against the state, the feds, and the tribes. and you know what the outcome is. Gill nets galore. That's what I call it.
What was the impetus of flipping from not having him to going back to him?
Well, that's a good question. You would have to ask the DNR.
Okay.
What changed? I don't think they have an answer.
Okay.
Anyway, now we are at the implementation phase of the consent decree, and that is the judge is going to sign the order that allows the gill nets to go in. Now, when does that happen? Well, there's one tribe, the Sioux tribe disagrees. They don't want any part of the consent decree. The judge signed it anyway and said, too bad, so sad. You signed it in 1836. You're in. It will be enforced. When does the implementation order get signed? I don't know. Let's say it's a week from now. All right? Let's say it's mid-September. Just in time for lake trout spawning season in the shallows and Cisco. They're an autumn, a fall season spawner. So, you know, it's going to be brutal. I'm telling you. We got small mesh gill nets coming in too, not just large mesh. We got small mesh. You know, untold miles for commercial fishing, but the real killer is the subsistence guys that are allowed to put 300 feet anywhere they want. Now, there's boundaries. It can't be 100 feet next to a mouth of a river, a tributary, et cetera, et cetera. But there's no enforcement. Zero. And if somebody gets a ticket, it's a $100 ticket because the tribes are going to mirror what the penalties are for commercial fishing non-tribal, which, you know, those rules haven't changed forever. So it's going to be, you know, watch your lower units, watch your downrigger balls. You never know when you're going to run over one of these things. And, you know, woe be unto the fishery. I mean, in 1979, that was the whole impetus to go to do something about the consent decree because the East and West Bay were gutted of lake trout in a matter of days. In a matter of a summer, it was emptied of lake trout. Lational Islands, Big Bay to Knock, Little Bay to Knock of walleye, gone, decimated.
Well,
Here's all the fish.
For people who don't maybe listening that don't understand how these work or what they do, get a little bit insight into how they work, and they kill everything.
It's a big net that is vertical in the water. It's weighted at the bottom and has floats at the top, and anything that swims into it is caught. So, you know, the DNR says, well, you know, they're not going to target salmon, and they're not going to catch all the steelhead and, you know, bass. They won't catch bass. Well, how do we know that?
How can you say that? It's like putting up a deer crossing sign on a highway and making sure all the deer cross within that 100 feet of that sign, just so you know the rest of the road is okay.
Right.
How can the DNR scientifically say that if I put this net here,
it's not going to
it's only going to catch X fish?
You know, the reasonable man would say they can't do it. But the DNR says it can be done. So we're supposed to believe that.
Okay, so let's go with it. They're out there fishing, catching their gill nets. What percentage of those fish they're targeting, they keep, but everything that is caught in a gill net will die?
Yeah, it's indiscriminate.
So
doesn't matter.
You pull up, you're out there and you're going after whatever fish. I'm just going to say a lake trout, but you pull up a salmon.
Okay.
In the end, they're both going to die.
That's right. That's right. You know, I think, you know, if you look at the markets, where do you see lake trout selling really heavy? Mackinac City, St. Agnes, they do a nice smoked fish, walk-in retail operation up there. But I think the real markets are the pet food industry and the eco fertilizer plant in Peshabi Town. I think those are two markets that are really overlooked, and the contracts are overlooked, and it's many, many pounds of fish.
Oh, for sure. And just that you're thinking that you're saying the DNR is telling people is kind of throwing that big red flag up that don't worry, it's not going to kill these fish, it's going to kill those fish.
Right. Well, the DNR has a safety valve in place, and it's brand new, and it's only like, of the 21 million that comes with this consent decree, it's only like $4 million of it. But it's an electronic reporting system. It's going to save everything. It's going to save the fishery, because the tribes are going to report, and the DNR is going to manage, and they're going to be able to say, pull that net, you're over your limit, your total, your TAC, total allowable catch, they call it. Yeah, that's going to work.
Huh? That's interesting. I right? How?
Yeah, it's something else. I'll tell you what.
I can understand the DNR. We have our new system in place for deer. You go in, you do it, and you literally can get up-to-date information. But that is only as good
as the people reporting it.
Correct.
That's
and
right.
We've talked to Chad Stewart of the DNR, and they've had where you drop your little pin where you got your deer. They've had several floating out in the big lakes. So
right.
To tell me that they're going to, unless, and I don't know how this will happen or this will work, but unless they're heavily regulated and watched when they come, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, there's no, I thought, observers on boats, weigh stations, some of this should have been set up to where the tribes bring in their catch, they weigh it, okay, off you go. We'll let you know when you're at your limit. But there's none of that. I mean, none of the concessions that the recreational fishermen offered up as a negotiating thing, none of them were accepted. No, there was no negotiation. The recreational fishermen didn't get in. We asked for, lo and behold, lights, or maybe a marker that really sticks up that you can see at night on a gill net coming out of Manistee.
Well, that's what Kevin said. There will be little to no marking showing where these nets are. And you mentioned it just prior. Your downriggers and whatnot, you run them over and you're going to catch a gill net.
Oh yeah.
And that's gonna just literally that'll probably rip those off your boat if you don't pay attention,
yes.
Right?
Right. If not the transom and a sinking boat.
Well, let's not go there because, unfortunately, if it does happen, I hope that it gets pointed in the right direction, because usually what happens nowadays is so said boater does that, then they blame the boater.
Yep.
Well, it was your fault. Pick a reason. Wait, I ran over this that I didn't know was there. Well, it's still your fault. You should have known.
Right.
You know how that's going to work. But
you didn't see the half full milk jug, which is the marker.
That too, right? So as we talk about this, if anybody wants to learn more information or do anything or go read about it, help, is there a website they can go to?
Yes, there is. The Coalition to Protect Michigan Resources is the go-to agency. It's the only voice the fishermen have. That's it. It's them.
And you go to protectmiresources.com.
That's right. And there's a GoFundMe down there. Now we're paying lawyers. All the clubs that are part of this coalition, we pay, and that money goes directly to the lawyers, because the lawyers are basically working for cut rates, and they're funding their own travel. Cincinnati, Lansing, Grand Rapids, you name it. They're out on the road. And they're coordinating with the tribes as well. They go to the Sioux and talk to the netting leaders up there, and technically, the tribes and the coalition guys get along pretty well. There hasn't been any ugliness. It's with the DNR. How the DNR came up with this idea to support the feds and the tribes versus the fishermen of the state, I don't know. It's like, let's cut the hand off that feeds you.
Right.
We're the guys that pay for everything.
Exactly.
Well, since this is a federal treaty that they're manipulating, and we're dealing with it here in Michigan, are there any other Great Lakes states that are seeing the same thing, or what about Canada? I mean, international border. They share some of the same waters that we do. Is there?
Well, it's a good question, but it's one that I don't know.
Okay.
Because I've just focused on, what's happening in the Michigan waters. And, I know Wisconsin touches 1836 waters, and I know Lake Ontario is going to deal with it. Their treaty's coming up. Now that the foot's in the door, of course, this is all, hyperbole and prediction. But, Saginaw is under a treaty right now. And it was years before the 1836 treaty. It was like the 1819 treaty. Now, could you imagine if the Chippewa tribe down there said, hey, we want our fishing rights back in Saginaw Bay for gill nets? Oh, man. You'd have a lot more clubs joining the coalition, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's part of it. And I did find an article that was done over in Wisconsin that they kind of touched on it, that, hey, Wisconsin, just so you know, they're pushing for something else about a study for fisheries. But, hey, guess what happened over in Michigan? So they're definitely aware of it.
It's on the radar.
It's on the radar. How far it's getting, we probably don't know. But the only way to get out there is have a voice and get that word out there. And like you said, whether it be Traverse City, we'll even bring up what you just said, Saginaw Bay. You destroy these fisheries, all those boats that charter will be done.
Tourism
dollars to go out on those boats. People pay to go stay in the motels, hotels.
The gas they burn getting there and back
will be gone.
The food that's bought here in the area.
Well, I'll tell you what else it affects. I mean, the DNR stocked 660,000 fish in our area in northwest Michigan last year, from March until June. Here's my cat. So, our club, we go out on these stockings and we keep the birds off the stocked fish. So kayakers, boaters, what have you, we go out there and protect the smolts or the fingerlings or whatever they're planning. Make sure the birds stay off them. Seagulls, cormorants, you name it. There's fish ducks out there that are, having a heyday.
Right? It's a free menu.
Yeah, how does the gill nets affect our aviation predator control, as we call it, APC, and do we put effort into that, knowing that these fish are going to end up in a gill net? I mean, there's a lot of impact, a lot of implications to it, not just the businesses in the area. They have to be freaking out.
Right. I totally agree with you on that, and I think the surmise that the gill nets will be selective on what they take is kind of a pie in the sky thought.
Let's take this a step further. So, okay, you're talking about stocking thousands and thousands and thousands of fingerlings or fry, whatever you're putting in the water. Who pays for those?
That is all fishing license revenue.
And we're putting them in to be gill netted, and we're supplying that food chain for the gill nets.
Yep.
That's right.
Out of our license fees. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, no. Hey.
Yep.
I feel better now.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, well, rest assured, the new DNR director just got appointed yesterday.
That's right.
Yep. He's going to, I'm sure he's got this on his
radar,
his calendar to address.
Yeah.
I did not hear about that, but I can tell from the chuckle in your voice. I probably...
Oh, man. Well, he was appointed by the governor, and he's got a bachelor's degree in liberal arts / history. Yeah, so I'm sure he spun up on the 1836 year of what all happened when Michigan, barely was a state and did this.
On the deer side or the mammal side, the land animals, we run into this all the time. Why do we continually put people in charge of things that don't have any outdoor background or experience?
I don't know. Some people want you to believe that if they don't know anything, they're better than somebody that's got biases,
Don't get it.
Boy, it's a steep learning curve. I'll tell you what.
Same with the NRC. Same thing.
Yeah. It's something else. I don't get it. But let me get back to, how the club impacts the fishing around here, because we can dabble with the coalition. We're just David versus Goliath out here. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in some respects, we have a voice in the stockings, and if we don't continue to be loud and obtuse at these citizens fishery advisory committees, our stockings will get pulled south out of the 1836 waters. Because the question is, why are we stocking fish for gill nets?
Right.
Why don't we stock them in Muskegon or New Buffalo?
Right.
Put them down on the south end.
Right.
And so there's another implication. We got to be loud and proud down there in Clare. We do it twice a year. It's coming up September sometime this month. And make sure, or do we, make sure our stockings stay. I mean, the brown trout, we were over 100,000 brown trout just in Benzie and Leelanau County alone last year. But I'll tell you, there's organizations downstate that will gladly take those brown trout stockings.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Yep. And you know what? If that's the case, then get them down there, because, and however that's going to work. But I just did a quick little search and found out he was previously a lottery commissioner.
That's right.
And he's
perfect.
That
would have been my choice.
Right, Office of the State Employer, and he was on the Grand Rapids City Commission. So it sounds like he's got the perfect fit
to manage.
Oh, it's just another slap in the face, I'll tell you. It really is.
But you know what? I hope the word gets out. I hope things change. I hope the common sense comes into play. I don't understand why needing to go back to the gill net part. Just keep them where they're at today. Unless this is a whole... if you follow the money, it's where it's going to end up.
Absolutely.
What did you say they paid him in 2000?
14 million.
14 million? Okay, so now we're here 2023. What's the number going to be?
Just 21 million. It's in the decree.
Then
it's a $21 million dollar,
But win. They still can use the gill nets.
Oh yeah.
No, so if we're going to pay you $21 million, then you don't use the gill nets. There's a,
And who's paying the money?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's a federal check that's going to be written or a state check that's going to be written. Don't know. I hate to guess on that one.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it.
And I won't even say that this guy contributed $64,000 to the governor's election fund. But
he did.
Kevin did.
Yeah,
that's good. You're right. It's pay to play, right? And that's where we're at today. So by having you on, we're getting the word out. And by all means, share this show. Get it out so we can get you more people. Hopefully things change. But we're running up past an hour. So with that being said, if you don't have any other questions.
I got a lot of questions.
Well, I know, but we got, we don't have all night.
We could talk about a month. So.
Right? But what we like to do towards the end of the show, we like to ask our new interviewees some fun questions. We talked about the Kids' Day, what you guys do. We got into the politics of wonderful gill netting that Mike's going to help pay for.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So, but, you're retired, you're doing a lot of traveling and fishing up in that area. One of the questions we always ask is, what are you listening to on the radio?
Oh, that's a good question. I like everything, but I'll tell you, if there's a Morgan Wallen song on, I'll leave it on.
There you go.
I won't turn that off.
Isn't that the guy that shaved his mullet?
Yeah. So that's kind of my country dip there. I do like rock and roll though, and I like the new stuff too.
Okay.
There's a lot of good rock and roll out there. You know, you can't turn on a radio station without hearing Greta Van Fleet out of Frankenmuth.
No.
Right down the road from
Fantastic.
me. That's literally 10 miles down the road.
Right? They're pretty good. There's a good story
Yeah,
about how they got to where they are.
You know, they're the representatives of Frankenmuth now, and a really good rock band. But I listen to 95.5. That's kind of the newish rock and roll up here in Traverse City.
Okay.
And KLT, I listen to them. That's classic rock. So I listen to it all. I zip around. When there's a commercial, you can bet I'm hitting a preset station.
Okay, so while you're doing that, you're jamming along, rocking out.
Right.
You're driving along. What's your go-to snack that you got to have in the vehicle with you?
I gotta have Nutty Buddies. Sarah Lee makes these Nutty Buddies. They're the best on the boat, in the truck, ever. Yeah, that and a Diet Mountain Dew, man, I'm happy.
All right.
Nice. Okay, so you've invited Mike and Dan up to your place up there, and you're going to cook us a meal.
Yeah.
What outdoor meal would you say, hey guys, you got to have this? You got to sit down with me, and I'm going to make this for you. What would be that meal?
I would make you the soy teriyaki grilled salmon. And I would have a side of fried potatoes and onions, and a side of my wife's homemade coleslaw. And we would top that off with a very thick IPA. And you guys would want to go to bed early.
And the reason we do this at the end of the show is because I'm going to eat right after this now.
Right? And can you invite Dawn Renshaw over? Because she said in the comments that she made peach schnapps. Oh, and she canned some peaches too.
Oh, excellent.
Right? So you throw that in. And our last question we like.
Well, you know what's funny is Rick brought over his smoked salmon. He smoked a bunch up, and it was very good. Very good. So I know if Don's cooking over there, they got the gourmet kitchen going on for sure.
Oh boy! So I'm getting tidbits of don't ask you to sing and don't break out the guitar. So
That's right.
Right. So
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
That's after the IPAs.
right.
Yeah,
So
we'll need a sixer of IPAs for that. Yeah.
last question we like to ask is so we've had this fabulous meal. We're having a nice thick IPA around the fire. There's a story you're going to say, Mike and Dan, I got to tell you the story because it resonates within me that you got to hear it, and whether it happened an hour ago or a few years back or many years back, what would be that go-to story that we need to hear?
Well, it's club related, and I'll tell you, it just pops into mind because I think it was probably the most miserable I've ever been fishing. And it was one of those, we did a veterans event on Silver Lake in the middle of a blizzard. The weather couldn't have been worse. And, I'm one of the organizers, logistics guys. I'm setting up, fishing shanties and drilling holes. And it was like a 40-mile-an-hour wind. And the vets all had fun. It was a great time. We huddled in tents. We had lunch out there. It just pops into mind is, man, can we make a bad situation good? And that's what we did. And that's what we do as a club. We make every situation better. I don't think there's ever been an event that's just flopped. It's, I think it's just something that everybody wants to happen, and they want people to do it. And man, I'll tell you what, we'd appreciate new members, new blood.
That's
Our
awesome.
volunteers, they run thick, but they get tired quick. So we need new people. And it's that kind of event. And then the ones where it's a beautiful summer night like Leland, 10th of May, warm, flat calm, sun going down, huge lake trout being caught. I think there was like 2 20-pounders caught that.
Wow.
I mean, just that kind of stuff that's fresh in my memory bank, and I'm going, we got it really good. These are really the halcyon days of fishing. It's just been that good. And all the people that I've met through the club, all the friends that I go fishing with, and invite new people on the boat, and just I could go on and on. A campfire to me is really just, man, it's a stage, and I'm gonna tell you stories until you can't take anymore.
Exactly. That's right. It was a brutal day, John says. So totally agree with you. But
Yes.
we'd love to get more people your way. Don't feel free to reach out, share the show, get the word out about all these items that you guys do as a club, and also this little bit of a sort of subject with going on in the state, and also a thank you to you for your service.
Absolutely.
For sure. And what you do for the veterans as well.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Hey, thanks for having me.
Not a problem, man. You can stay in touch with us, and if anything changes on this GillNet issue, please let us know, and we'll get you back on the show too. So
I sure will.
Hang with us. Well, we're gonna wrap up the show, but hang on with us. When we finish here, we'll chat real quick and let you go. But
all right, we'll do.
For anybody who's listening on the podcast, if you're listening on iTunes, make sure you go over and give us a review. That helps the people who support us. And if you're watching here on Facebook, give us a like, follow, share. Do the same for the Northwest Michigan Fishing Club on their Facebook or in social media pages. Give them a like, follow, share as well. Go over to their website, check it out. Hit that membership button and send them $20. You won't regret it. And get involved as well. So,
that's the whole thing. It takes volunteers. It takes a little bit of money, and $20 or $1.67 a month, as we like to add that up and see what it does. It's not much at all to get up there. And if you're ever up in the area, stop by up there, check them out, find out if they're doing anything that weekend or having a Wednesday tournament, and then you too can join them up there as well.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, you got anything lined up yet?
Yeah, we're working on it.
He's working on it.
I made a connection tonight, and hopefully we'll be going up to Mayo, Michigan next week.
We'll just leave it right there at that.
Right, exactly. But come over to my screen. A big shout out and a thank you to Mr. Kevin Craven. He's a celebrity in his own right. He likes to, we like to take our picture with him, and
that was a good day.
That was a good day, and we've been friends for a very long time. But a big thank you to him for reaching out to me to get us in touch with Tim and learn more about all that club that it has to do.
There you go. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back again. If Danny gets somebody lined up, we'll be back again next Wednesday night at 7:30, same time. Y'all take care. Be safe out there.